Hello, and welcome to Tuck Talk with me, Emerald. So, we are at episode 13 of Tuck Talk, which I'm really excited about. I know it has been a couple of weeks, y'all. I know I've been slacking. Like, the fall has been crazy for me. So, my mom moved in with us, which is phenomenal. We could talk about that at a later date. My husband was out of town for a while. And then we celebrated our 5-year wedding anniversary. And we celebrated for like 2 weeks straight, right? Like we had like a really big party with a bunch of friends who came from out of town, and like we had like a weekend plan, and then like yesterday was our actual anniversary with just the two of us celebrating. So we just had a lot going on. So, you know, charge it to my head and not my heart. It's just been a lot going on. I've missed you all though, and there's been so much to happen. I know there's a lot for me to talk about. I'm gonna jump right in. So first of all, tonight I am drinking a little bit of tequila and orange juice and triple sec. And if I just had just a small amount of like lime juice or margarita mix, I would have a really good margarita right now. Alas, I don't. So tequila it is. I'm going to pour this because I don't have any tea or lemonade. So I'm going to pour this tequila all over some celebrity gossip right now. Really, the main thing I want to talk about is the Country Music Awards that happened the other night. So, I'm sure by now y'all have heard that Beyonce performed her song Daddy Lessons with the Dixie Chicks the other night on the CMAs. And like the CMAs advertised this really, really heavily. Like knowing that Negroes was going to tune in because they know how much we love Beyonce. I mean, Negroes and others, but definitely Negroes is going to tune in. Which is a viewership that they don't normally get, you know, high marks for, right? For the black viewership for the CMAs. So they advertise this. Black people and many others are tuning in. Their ratings go through the roof, right? I guess true country music fans did not like this. And when I say true country music fans, I mean racist white people. Not all racist white people like country music. I get that. But they didn't like this. So the CMAs essentially erased offline the performance of Beyonce and the Dixie Chicks performing. Now, let's make a couple things clear. First of all, the CMAs asked Beyonce to be there. That's one. Two, Beyonce then asked the Dixie Chicks to perform with her, so it wasn't the other way around. Three, the CMAs advertised the shit out of it, again, knowing that we were going to tune in to watch Beyonce. They knew that it was a ratings booster. And then they're going to turn around and appease racist-ass white people and delete any trace of her being on the VMAs. The CMAs off of websites and off of Facebook, and all the clips were gone for a while. Like, stop, don't use black people and black talent and black artists and artistic ability and singing or whatever else to boost your ratings, to make you feel good about yourself, and then discard our work and our bodies like it ain't shit. Like, that's essentially what they did. And I may be a little bit dramatic about it, but I'm just so sick of it. Like, I am so sick of the fucking status quo in this country. I'm so sick of how people of color, marginalized people, are being used and then discarded away. It can be something as small as helping to tutor your child or fucking clean your hotel, or something as big as performing on the CMAs. Stop discarding away bodies of color when you have gotten your gain from them. Like, this fucking country. Are you kidding me right now? And then for the CMAs, an organization who went out, sought after Beyonce to then appease to white people who were like, what is she doing here? She has no business being on country music. This is terrible. Whatever the fuck else they had to say. They mad, they crying. Like, what is the problem? I can't. So CMAs, it's a big fuck you for that. Yeah, so there's that. Real quick, Sierra and Russell Wilson are recently married and now expecting, and a lot of people dragged her for getting pregnant with her husband, but like didn't have shit to say when she was pregnant for ratchet ass, reckless ass future. This is a married ass woman, and her husband are pregnant. I don't care how soon after their marriage, their wedding, she got pregnant. Like, it as a matter of fact, doesn't even matter that they're married now. Because they could just be two grown, consenting as adults who want to have a goddamn baby and to be able to take care of their baby, but in your poor, uneducated ass. So, you know, y'all just stop it with criticizing this girl. Let her live her life. Let her be happy. Like, black women deserve to be happy and to be in love and be married and have children with their husbands without people, especially other black women, tearing them down. So, you know, y'all, let's get over that. I don't know what to talk about that, but I just thought about it and it made me mad. Congratulations to the Chicago Cubs. They won the World Series. I don't know shit about baseball, so if I mix up words, I don't know. But I know they won the World Series. I think that's what they won. I think it's been about 108 years since they won the World Series. So congratulations to them. Although I do believe this past weekend was like the deadliest weekend in Chicago. So, you know, let's not lose focus on what's happening in the world. And also, I just think about the fact that, like, all of these fans are, like, excited, like, in the streets, like, having a good time. And police officers are able to corral them in a friendly, nonviolent fashion. But yet can't do that with protesters. Like, please get your fucking shit together. Because if you can control a bunch of drunk-ass baseball fans or sports fans in general, then surely you can control, in a nonviolent way, some protesters marching through the streets with some fucking signs singing Negro spirituals. Like, let's not. So, okay. That's that. Let me take a sip. Okay. So, my top story tonight is about the Dakota Access Pipeline that's happening in North Dakota. Everybody, I'm sure, is aware of what's happening with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe there. If you don't know, let me give you some quick facts, okay? So first of all, it's about 1,200 miles of pipeline that they're looking to build. And the problem is, what they're looking to do is they're looking to build this underneath the Missouri River. And the Missouri River is the main water source of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, okay? And so, obviously, like, the National Corps of Engineers, or whatever it's called, is like, you know, no, it's safe. Like, this is as safe as it's going to be. But as we have seen here recently in Alabama, other places, you know, in the Gulf, wherever there is wherever there's oil and there's an oil pipeline, like, there is the potential for a spill. And can you imagine that your main source of water is now the site of where they're looking to have an oil pipeline? Like, there will always be this chance that your water will be contaminated. And obviously, like, water, we need water to live. Like, water is life. We have to have it. So, obviously, people have been out protesting this since I think about September 4th. I mean, like, we're going into 2 months here regarding, like, what's going on here. So something that's really funny to me is that they were looking to do it in the town of Bismarck, North Dakota, which is the capital of the state. And people there were like, no, this isn't safe. Like, you cannot route this pipeline through our town because it's not safe for our water. So white people don't want it to contaminate their water, yet now they're willing to reroute it to native lands, which is looking to affect their water source. It's impeding on sacred burial grounds, lots of different things, and that seems to be okay. And I know y'all already know how I feel about how white people are treated over how marginalized peoples are treated, so I'm not going to have to go into that, but just realize, like, we're talking about water here. You see what's going on in Flint. Like, that shit's still going on in Flint. Lead poisoning. Like, generations of children are being lead poisoned by Flint, Michigan. And now we're trying to do the same thing, essentially, if not worse, to this Sioux tribe at Standing Rock. We got to do something about it, okay? There's not, if you can't get out there and protest, because let me tell you, they're cutting off bottled water supply to protesters. It's really hot during the day. It's really cold at night. People out there protesting. They're being arrested. They're being kept in inhumane conditions out there protesting. Dogs are being sicked on them. Like, it is a mess out there. But thousands of people are standing their ground and protesting this access pipeline. And if you cannot physically do that, I understand, because I don't think I can make it out there. But what you can do You can do a couple things. And I'm going to read this because I want to make sure I give you the right information. So the first thing you can do is you can actually call the North Dakota governor. I don't know how to say his name, but it's Jack, I don't know, Dalrymple? Yeah, that sounds crazy. I don't know what it is. Anyway, Governor Jack, North Dakota, call him 701-328-2208. 701-328-2208. Call him, leave him a message, express your outrage and your frustration with what's going on and how our treaty with the Sioux tribe there at Standing Rock is not being honored, and how, you know, this 1,200 miles of pipeline should not impede their God-given need for water. It's just not okay. Make the call, and then also sign the White House petition to get the Army, the National Army Corps, whatever it is, of engineers, to reroute what's going on and to reassess this particular pipeline. So there is a petition going to the White House that, you know, it's being sent to the White House. Find it online, sign it. If you can't find it, message me. Y'all know how to find me. I'll send it to you. So get involved however you can. People are taking supplies. Again, if you want ways to get involved, let me know. I'll make sure that you know how you can get involved. But this is just not okay. We're not going to keep poisoning marginalized peoples. We're not going to keep suppressing the voices and the needs of people whose voices have been suppressed for generations and generations. And Native people in this country have just gotten the shit into the stick, and I'm just tired of it, and I'm sick of it, and I'm standing with everybody. Because, you know, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So fuck it. Like, I'm standing with everyone. Which then leads me into my social justice or bust section. I want to talk about representation in Hollywood. And in particular, I want to talk about Asian representation and the representation of Asian culture in Hollywood. So recently, I went to go see Doctor Strange, a new Marvel film, with my husband. And anybody who knows me knows that I love the lead actor, and that's a different story for a different day, which, you know, whatever. But I've been thinking lately about how, well, there are a couple things, right? And I'm going to back up. So first thing, I was a really big Walking Dead fan. And I'm going to say spoiler alert, but it's like 2 weeks in, so if you don't know this by now, then that's your fault. But Glenn was killed on The Walking Dead for the season 7 opener. Glenn was the lone Asian character on the show. And while his death mirrored that of what happened in the comic, I do believe that the comic maybe should have, or excuse me, the show should have considered straying away from the comic. And let me tell you why. Glenn was a lead on this show. And you can say, oh, there are leads like the show Fresh Off the Boat, and that might be like literally the only other one you can name. But, you know, there are some Asian leads on TV right now. But Glenn wasn't just a lead on the show. Glenn was a heartthrob on the show. Glenn was the one who married the pretty southern white girl and is starting a family with her. Glenn was the one who was the moral compass of this group of people, right? Glenn was the one who people looked to for sage advice in this show. He was a heartthrob. So he wasn't just a leading man. He was a man that, like, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, Native women were all like, yeah, like Glenn. Like Walking Dead fans were about Glenn. Like, he was our guy, right? And so we don't have that. Where else do we have an Asian actor or actress that's a leading man or a leading woman? We don't have it. We don't have that heartthrob for Asian actors and actresses. We just don't. Or that sex pot, I guess, for Asian actresses. Like, we just don't have it right now in Hollywood. And so I was a little upset that they took that away from us, because I don't know the next time we're going to have that, right? And I was thinking to myself, like, Daryl Dixon is hands down my favorite character in The Walking Dead. But how many rugged, loner, motorcycle, scruffy-ass white men are depicted in Hollywood? Like, a dime a fucking dozen. They should have fucking killed Daryl. Like, I'm just gonna put it out there. You can disagree with me or not, but to understand the statement that was being made with Glenn's character, as much as I love Daryl, I would have sacrificed him for Glenn. And that's just moving into how I feel like Asian people as well as Asian culture is kind of used and then tossed aside in Hollywood nowadays. So back to Doctor Strange. So I'm going to go see Doctor Strange. For those of you who don't know the premise of the movie, a doctor from New York, he gets in a bad car accident, he has to go find himself, he gets superpowers. Like, that's really like the baseline of it, because I don't want to give anything away. And he goes to Asia, and he like learns this mystic arts and, you know, becomes great at it, and then he like saves the world. But like, why the fuck are like white people always going to Asia to find themselves and then learning, you know, ancient Asian culture, whether it's, you know, somewhere in Pakistan or China or fucking Bhutan or Japan, and becoming better at the Asian culture than the Asian people, and then they're the only ones who can fucking save the world, or who have mastered, like, you know, fucking jujitsu, and like are the only ones who can fight the bad guy. Like, why does that always happen? Why can't it ever be an Asian person who was like, no, motherfucker, I've been studying this shit for generations. You are not better at this than I am, and I'm going to save the fucking world. Like, fuck you. Like, you don't get to do that. You don't get to come be the white savior and take my culture to save the world. Like, you're not better at being Asian than I am at being Asian. Like, I just got really annoyed by it. So, listen about that. Like, that happens in Doctor Strange. It happened in Batman Begins. And there are a couple other movies I was talking about earlier. And I was just like, I'm just tired of, like, white people, like, taking their pilgrimage to Asia and, like, coming back and being enlightened and knowing karate and understanding these mystic arts and then being really good at it, and they, like, become the expert at it and get to save the world. Like, that's just not how this shit works. Cast Asian people in those roles, okay? And I'm not saying it has to be tit for tat, right? Like, it doesn't have to be this role was written Asian, so only an Asian person can play it, or this role was written as a black person, so only a black person can play it. Because if that's the case, then, like, black people never get to play, like, Hamlet. And I don't think that that's fair either, right? Because I feel like everybody should be able to play everything for the most part. But let's really think about the fact that only 1% of Hollywood is Asian. Like, the representation of Asian actors and actresses is literally 1% or less in Hollywood. So yeah, we need to at least start giving them the roles that were written for them. And we need to start respecting that their culture is not just something that we can be like, oh, let me take parts of it and feel like I can master it, and then I'm the one who saves the world. Like that, like, I'm just so sick of Western culture, white Western culture doing that. I'm just tired of the whitewashing. I really am, y'all. It's been 20 minutes. It goes real quick, I know. I'm going to wrap up. A couple of things I want to mention. One, Solange Knowles. I talked about her sister earlier. Solange Knowles Ferguson. Her newest album, A Seat at the Table, is worth listening to. Please listen to it. It is for black people. I mean, it really is. And it's talking about our lives, our everyday lives, how we are thriving, how we are coping with what's going on around us, how we are building our own community. It's a phenomenal fucking album. Listen to it. I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna say too much about it. Tuesday is election day. Vote. Vote. Okay? You have the right. Women, we just got the right less than 100 years ago. Black people, it's been even a little less. We know what we've had to go through. Vote. I'm not going to say I don't care who you vote for, because ultimately it will affect me, but just exercise your right to vote. It's been a crazy fucking election. It has been divisive and uncouth, and I'm ready for it to be over, but y'all, please go vote, okay? It won't be so long until I see you next time. I'm going to get out your hair, because I will keep going on about this Asian representation in Hollywood. Thank you for tuning in. I love all y'all. And guess what? Keep sipping. Cheers.